Thanks everybody for joining us today. Thanks to our panelists for our Partner Marketing for Ecosystems panel. My name is Christina. I'm happy to be hosting you guys from the SaaS Ecosystem Alliance. And before we get started and diving into some of the questions that folks have, let's do a round of intros. Maybe if we can all share our names, where we work, how long we've worked in partnerships, and potentially in partnership marketing. So I'll start. My name is Christina. I'm the CEO here at Pandium, and I have worked in technology partnerships and integrations for about 15 years. So really excited to talk to all you guys and hear what you have to say. Brierly, do you want to go?
Of course. Hi, everyone. My name is Brierly Laban, and I'm the Global Director of Partner Marketing at Trustpilot, based in New York. Trustpilot, for those that may not know, is a review platform which was founded in Copenhagen about over 10 years ago in 2007, and now we're at a pretty global scale. So I have been in partnerships marketing and a variation of partnerships marketing for close to a decade now, originally from New Zealand, so in other markets as well. But this is kind of what has led me to Trustpilot and here today.
Awesome. Thank you for joining. Mark, you want to go?
Sure. Hi, my name is Mark Iafrate. I am a product marketing manager at Intercom. I've been there for about 2 years. I've been working in marketing and partnerships for 7 years or so before this. For those who don't know, Intercom is a customer communication platform, and my role there is kind of some traditional PMM work that comes out of the kind of partnerships and co-marketing space, and also responsible for building out our initial co-marketing strategy, our infrastructure for how we handle that, but also the individual strategies with our different technology partners and go-to-market execution.
Awesome. Katie, how about you?
Yeah, happy to. So I'm Katie Rubeck. I'm the Senior Partner Marketing Manager at Talkdesk. We are a contact center as a service platform provider. So my role encompasses our technology partners, our strategic alliances, and our marketplace partners. So all the fun things of working with large partners, small partners across the board. I've been at Talkdesk over a year, but I've been in tech and in partnerships, done product marketing in the past for about 6 or 7 years. So, but this has been a really exciting year to really lean solely into partner marketing partnerships, as Talkdesk has had a really, we've been around for 10 years as well, Brierly. So it's been, in the past couple of years, really explosive and seeing a lot of growth in partnerships in particular, which has been really exciting.
Awesome. And Morgan.
Hi, I'm Morgan Rahofsky. I lead the partner program office at Salesloft, and that includes partner marketing, partner enablement, and partner success. And I've been at Salesloft for just over a year and a half. Started in more of a traditional product marketing role. And now, as I think Katie, you said, we're leaning more into partnerships, and we have over 200 partners that we support at Salesloft, which include technology partners, consulting and solution partners, as well as our referral group of influencers. So, and I've been in partnerships for probably about 6 or 7 years. Being a product marketer includes a lot of partnership work, as you all know. So I feel like I've been in this space for longer, but directly supporting for just about 2 years now.
Nice. Thanks, everybody. We have a great panel of experts here, obviously. So before we kick off with some of the questions that were submitted, just for the folks in attendance, if you guys have questions, we'll save about 5 to 10 minutes at the end here to go through those. This will run until 12:40. So we've got a little bit of time here to go through some of the questions folks have already submitted. And if you do have questions, you can just drop them into the chat. We may answer some as they come in, but we'll save some to the end as well. But to kick things off, I would love to hear what you guys think are the traits of a good tech partner and a good co-marketing partner. Like, do you guys have an ICP sort of that you work through? What are the things that make a partner great? And I see, Katie, you're already unmuted, so we'll start with you.
I forgot to remute myself, but I'm happy to jump in and go first. So I talked at similar to Morgan, partnerships. We've had partnerships for a number of years, but it's really started to scale up over the last 2. And so we're learning a lot about what partners are great to market with and which ones are maybe less than ideal, but there is no unideal partner. There is just more ways to work through the partnership to make it really successful on both ends. And I think for us, what we really learned, at least on the marketing front, is getting really clear on the expectations at that launch stage of what are our goals together, understanding, if you kind of, at least for me, what resources do they have? How many people are dedicated to working on the partnership specifically? If they've got a product marketer and a partner marketer, they have someone that does demand, you really know that, like, okay, this team is ready to go. I think it's in those it's almost like going on a first date every time that you meet a new partner and understanding, how is this going to go? Are we both going to be hitting our deadlines together? Are we collaborative? Are we flexible? But I think it's really who you bring to that first meeting and that first table to say, hey, here's the resources I have to help make this successful. You know, you're going to be better off than and I mean, I've been in tech companies where there is only one or two marketers, and that's a much leaner group. So you know that, okay, we're going to have to maybe adjust this and set this up a little bit differently to make this successful because they've got less resources than somebody else does. Doesn't mean that they can't also be great, but it's really like setting those expectations for turnaround time, for lift, for being able to create collateral together. That sort of thing is really important to understand right from the beginning. But we're still sort of building that ideal profile, especially as we bring in new folks. We're really learning as we get more people in the door.
Also a rapidly evolving space, so that makes sense, right? Morgan, I think you were unmuted as well, and then Mark, you too.
Yeah, Katie, I wholeheartedly agree. You can have the best like launch and go-to-market plan in place, but if there's just not like commitment and energy to reciprocate that, then it can really, damper the relationship, which is not something you want to do. So sort of setting those expectations up front. I would add to that, just understanding like the customer perspective of it. Is there a good, healthy ecosystem of mutual customers out there? And there are various tools like Crossbeam that, you can use to do that. And having healthy betas with those integrations can sort of prove the concept and, sort of help you determine how much emphasis you want to put behind a go-to-market. And cultural alignment, that would be the other thing, like do our executives, are they on the same page? Do they like each other? Which comes up more times than I'd like to mention. But I'd say that too, is just sort of helps, kind of keep the rails on the track as you get into the throes of it.
Totally. Mark, something to add?
Yeah, no, I'd love to. I would say like there's two things to keep in mind. One is there's certain types of go-to-market motions that you're going to be doing with technology partners that are much more hands-on, that are much more bespoke. And then there's a lot of work that you could be doing that's kind of always on marketing. So keep that in mind as you're going through these. But I found that there's certain foundational things that if you're going to be spending a lot of time with a partner, that need to align well. Basic stuff like product market fit. Is your integration powering like value for your mutual customers? For us, there's this go-to-market like motion alignment. So do you have like good joint value propositions for your products? Do you have like similar or complementary like ideal customer profiles? So that, if you're selling to support teams, you don't have to both be selling to the same types of people, but maybe you sell to an engagement profile and they sell to customer support. And then like there's also this idea of like regional alignment. Some companies are more focused in like EMEA or NAMER and vice versa. And then I think we had talked about it, like there's like idea of marketing capacity. If you're going to be doing really in-depth, detailed campaigns, you have to make sure that they have the ability to be executing on those. And then like as you start to do these motions, you start to notice the really like nuanced parts of the relationship. So what are your goals? Some partners we work with, they're all about like driving product adoption and app adoption. Like their KPI is integration installs. For other people, it's deal referrals. For other people, it's like lead generation. So make sure that you're aligned on like what those actual outputs are going to be. And then figuring out like, does this partner have a good track record of like execution? Do they care about like their customers and getting value, right? Are they just going through the motions? Are they good at communicating? And like, do you enjoy working with them? Like you're going to be working with these people all the time. If you have a really bad experience, and this has happened to me, but like, you just don't want to spend hours and hours like working with people who like don't put in the effort or just don't seem to care. So make sure you enjoy working with your partners.
Totally. All great advice. that kind of leads into our next question. So partner marketing obviously needs to work very closely with partnership teams. What do you guys think companies should think about when determining the reporting structure to ensure that partner marketing is able to be effective? And this comes up, I think, with partnership groups across companies, like the reporting structure and the sort of org chart. So I'd love to know what you guys think about that. And Brierly, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I have lots of thoughts on this, and I often see, and I don't know about you all, but I often see partner marketing either mispositioned or even perhaps misrepresented as a supporting team to partnerships, which I think I don't buy into, and I think should not be the case at all. Where that if people are thinking that, they're looking at it the wrong way. So what we have done at Trustpilot is really set up our function in a way that partnerships and partner marketing are both supporting and enabling each other. And so an example of that, say, is, by bringing in a new strategic technology partner, our partnerships team is unlocking a mutual goal of ours, which may be, to increase our audience base. And then by having partner marketing promote that integration, we're stimulating integration usage with that. So with that, we're kind of meeting each other's goals in a way and also working towards that shared vision. So almost like a Venn diagram, if you will, with that mutual kind of goals in the middle. If you can get that right, that can create a really symbiotic relationship, and also means that we're empowered to do our own work. And marketing can focus on marketing best practices. Partnerships can go after the right partnerships. This is how we work at Trustpilot, and it's been really interesting because our technology partner team is actually in our commercial team, whereas we sit in marketing. But because we've got that kind of strong dotted line, we're able to make that magic happen in the middle. So I think that's probably a key thing for us that we're starting to acknowledge and empowering those individual teams.
We're the exact same, where partner marketing sits in the marketing organization and the partnership and alliances team sits in the commercial teams with that dotted line. We have meetings every week together. We're each other's business partner, but we sit in different organizations. And I think that, exactly to your point, from a marketing perspective, it helps us stay laser focused on best practices in marketing, really helping make sure that the partner marketing is serving the marketing goals, because it is, at the end of the day, we're marketing, we're trying to drive pipeline, we're trying to drive awareness and all of those different things. It really helps keep us, so we run our business as we need to drive the right results. And then we come and we meet in the middle with alliances and work together to help both of us mutually meet our goals. We just have it's a partnership within the partnership world, between alliances and partner marketing, but definitely we're the exact same way at Talkdesk, where marketing is in the marketing organization.
Yeah, Morgan, go ahead.
So we just had a pretty big org change where so partner marketing was sitting in marketing, and alliances was part of our success and services teams. And now our alliances team is actually a part of marketing, which allowed marketing to work even closer with alliances. So now we have a marketing and alliances organization, which has just unlocked so many synergies in terms of how we go to market with partners and how the various marketing functions support partnerships, not just, one product marketer or one partner marketer. And just being able to set shared KPIs and goals has really just been great timing as we go into planning season. So a little bit different than what I've seen in other organizations, but something I'm excited to see what comes out of it.
Yeah, and that's actually a great segue into the next question that came in, which is about KPIs. I think that's always an interesting conversation for like emerging teams, figuring out what those KPIs should be. So in your perspective, what are the different partner marketing team KPIs, and how do you guys see those tie into larger organizational goals? Morgan, you're still unmuted. I'm not sure if you wanted to jump in.
I could share a couple of thoughts on it. So from a partner marketing perspective, looking at, similar metrics as we would within the marketing team. So how many leads are we driving and how are they converting into SDOs? From a general alliances perspective, we look at partner sourced revenue. So what was booked that was sourced from a partner that marketing can contribute to as we do, co-marketing and partners bring in net new contacts. And then partner influenced, which again is another number that marketing contributes to. But we're also looking at things like partner engagement. So how much of our ecosystem is engaged in actually doing things inside of the partner program. We look at new partners that we've recruited, a number of those. And then, yeah, I'd say those are probably like the top ones. There are other ancillary ones like case studies and, number of mutual opportunities, things like that. But in terms of business impact, those are probably the ones that we monitor most closely.
Yeah, I can talk a little bit towards it on the Intercom side. We have what I'd probably call like 3 North Star KPIs. One is pretty obvious, like opportunities and closed won revenue. And then how you evaluate that can varies, right? It could be a source deal, it could be an influence deal, whatever it might be, but there's kind of like that top level sales BD type stuff. Lead generation for us, it's typically MQLs, like S1s. That's just kind of like our criteria for what is a truly qualified or marketing qualified lead. And then we have one that is geared towards app adoption. We call it platform active customers. So it's effectively how many Intercom customers are using 4 or more integrations. And it just so happens that Intercom's like our magic number's 4. I've talked to people at other large tech companies, and sometimes it's 12, sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's 5. It's kind of irrelevant. It's going to depend on your company. But the thing about all of these is that they all tie back up to revenue. Like that at the end of the day is the most important thing. So it's good to have your metrics at the campaign level, and Morgan was talking about it kind of at the program level, right? You want to know how many partners do you have? How engaged are they for your campaigns? Like, yeah, are you having good attendance and good, all those things are important, but at the end of the day, you have to tie these metrics back to it. And that's one of the reasons why like proper setup and tracking is so important, because yeah, like we're trying to drive app adoption, but we know that if we drive app adoption, like there's going to be better logo retention, like higher LTV, higher ACV, right? So we know that those tie to that, and it might be a more nebulous kind of direct line, but we know it's there, right? So those are like the 3 key ones. And then there's one that's kind of fluffy. It's like awareness, right? But like some partners that we work with, they don't do a lot of kind of lead generation stuff. So it's more just kind of elevating your brand and like becoming more synonymous with, whatever it is that you care about. But that's kind of how we think about success.
I can maybe add to that, because Trustpilot partner marketing is structured a little differently than most technology companies that I've seen, in that we're a global business. We have offices in many different locations around the world, and we have about 2,000 partners of varying types and sizes. Not all technology, of course. We have agencies and solution partners, all sorts. So partner marketing is this pretty small team in our business. There's 3 of us that are on partner marketing. We actually act as the conduit between our partnerships team and our field marketing team that executes locally on the ground. And so we kind of look at our KPIs and metrics a little differently in that sense. And what we're really wanting to do is bring the right opportunities to our field marketing teams on a local level at the right time, but also make sure that our partners are involved in our global activities that are happening, that are ran by our field marketing team. So it's kind of a 2-way communication channel that we have running. And so we have like dotted lines to a lot of those lead KPIs, but ours are more around like how many global campaigns can we get our partners involved in, how many local campaigns can we get our partners involved in, and vice versa. What can we bring to our field marketing team so that they can make the most of it? Because we do know that if a partner is involved in a campaign, then those leads are going to be of much higher quality. They're going to be more engaged, and just it's better for us. We understand the value of it, so it's bringing all of that together.
One thing I wanted to just add real fast, but I'm mindful of time, making sure we get through all of our questions, is Brierly, I love that sort of like looking through different lenses, and actually something that the Talkdesk partner marketing team, all of the revenue KPIs aside, that is the North Star, absolutely. But when we're looking at activities, we're looking through lenses of marketing to partners, marketing through partners to their audiences, and marketing with partners. And that really helps us look at those buckets and say, are we leaning too far one way? Are we making sure we're really creating that rich ecosystem of marketing activities? So we're getting the right results, or a balanced amount of results across everything. And the one thing at Talkdesk, at least our partner marketing team has a heavy hand in internal sales enablement too. And from a metric perspective, it's really not just the partner engagement, but also, is the Talkdesk sales team engaged in co-sell opportunities with partners? Do they know that they can leverage partners? Are they comfortable? Do they know how to work with partners? That is another hat that the partner marketer wears on top of all of the hats that we wear. But that one is really important, especially as partnerships and scaling partnerships is newer. We're really trying to make sure that we're not just enabling our partners and letting the market know, also trying to make sure that our sales team understands this is a benefit to you to work with these partners. Sure, you don't know them, but you will, and it's going to be really great for your business and for our business.
I just wanted to like add something. I know we keep going this way. I love this.
No,
like
go for
you
it.
said, like the most amazing, like that's absolutely the way that we thought about it. And for anybody that's like spinning up something like this, one of the best things that we did at Intercom was we did effectively like an internal roadshow where we talked about, we have app partners and service partners, but specifically for like the app and technology partners, we said, here's who they are. And here's like the value that they can add to like you and your team and how you can leverage them. And that was one of the things that really helped us to like ingrain this as a normal part of the motion, because we think about partners as it's effectively another channel. And like we want to be providing value to our partners and vice versa. And so we have this system where it's like, sometimes I'm sitting there and I'm developing like an actual joint go-to-market campaign with a partner, like deliberately. And we're sitting there and we're trying to get buy-in from different teams. And that's kind of this like normal bespoke motion. But very often there's partners coming to us with opportunities that I'm then bringing to like the field team or the content team. But the best part is when somebody in our content team says, we are doing this thing, like whether partners are going to be involved or not, and we want to leverage partners because we think it's going to add value for them and it's going to help us. And it happens with the field marketing team. And the only reason that they come to us with those opportunities is because we were fortunate enough to do that work in the beginning that showed that there was really value there. And you can do that across different marketing orgs. You can do that in the sales org. You can do that in the product org as well, right? The team sitting there saying, we should build this, but we don't have the time to. Like, heck, there might be a partner that has an integration that we could leverage that could do that just as well, if not better. So like doing that upfront work of getting buy-in is probably one of the best things you can do if you're kind of like starting out in that space.
That is the best, most rewarding feeling. When someone's like, hey, we have this thing and we'd like to put a partner.
We want to do it with partners. Yes.
Yes. You made it.
Yeah. Total plus 1,000, like what you're saying with the roadshow and the good feelings that come after 100%.
Yeah, the folks that we've seen that have been like, I think really successful with their partnership teams have done, like, as you said, the internal roadshow, like sort of the hype train of like getting everyone really stoked internally. And I found it interesting too, a lot of like good ideas can come out of like your customer success team, your sales team to hopefully help you guys identify better partners. So we do have a question that's kind of in line with this from someone in the audience. So Alexander was asking, how does everyone stay on top of field co-selling activity among AEs partnering in the field? Which I think is a complicated question. Mark is still unmuted. I don't know if you have a thought.
I can, this is, it's a great question. And I love that it's kind of like in the weeds. What we did was we started to experiment working with field marketing. This is just pre-pandemic when we were still doing stuff like in the field. A lot of this has moved online, but it's the same concept. And it's, we did some experimentation and it was working. And then we sat down and we said, what is our motion and what is our best practice / playbook for doing joint or partner related activities? And the idea is that you want to do the same, you have the same best practices, right? You've got like the follow-up that you need to do. You're enabling the AEs when they're going there. You're making sure people are ready to do this. But when there's like a partner involved, that typically kind of like adjusts a little bit. Like you might have to adjust kind of how they talk about something or when they talk about it or what the follow-up looks like. So what we found was just take your existing best practices and just sit down with somebody from like the partnership side or that is working with these partners and say, how are we going to best tailor this experience or this motion to work in this new world? And sometimes that motion is exactly the same and sometimes it's totally different. And I can't give advice to like your org because I don't know how you function, but for us, it was simply adjusting the existing like campaigns we did after, the cadence of when they would reach out and that kind of thing. It was just some slight tweaks to it. And again, over communication, like letting them know exactly what's going to be there and reiterating over and over again, like what that joint value prop is and like how these things kind of work together.
From a co-sell perspective and like AE specific deal support, and this kind of comes again back to the organization, at least at Talkdesk, on the alliances team, there's regional specific managers that are aligned to partners and aligned to the region. They're there to be feet on the street, on the ground. They're making sure that those connections with AEs are taking deals through smoothly. And we're aware of those things and we're aware of those activities in those regions to drive those connections. But as you get further into those deal weeds, that's where that handoff over to alliances really happens for us.
Interesting. On our side, I mean, two things I'll say before we get into the process of how we do it. One is we don't co-sell with every partner. So within the partner program, we've identified which partners are set of criteria that sort of says when we will open up for co-sell. And as a part of that, we have an awesome enablement leader on our team who makes sure that our reps are aware of that partner and that there's enablement material, that they know how to talk about it when it comes up with a prospect or an opportunity. And then we have an awesome set of sales leaders on our alliances team who work in region and then with, sort of various partner tiers. With the cross-beam overlaps, we can see like where we have mutual opportunities, where we have mutual customers, and where we have mutual opportunities, our sales leads on the alliances side work with the AEs who are working those opportunities to make sure that they're aware of it. And oftentimes it helps accelerate a deal when we include a partner. So that partner can speak on our behalf or can get us access to someone in the decision-making process, who's a decision maker who we couldn't get access to before. And from a technology perspective, now that we actually have an integration with Crossbeam that alerts those sales reps when there is an overlap and creates sort of an action, a bit of momentum around them following up with the rep at the partner side too. And then just monitoring it, right? Just making sure that we have the reports in place that show where deals are, different stages, and help us analyze and articulate the value as well.
Excellent. Brierly, I'm not sure if you wanted to jump in, but I also have a question that came in from Megan. Or Mark, it looks like.
Oh no, I'm just, this next question's got me all jazzed because this is something that we do a lot of. So.
All right, well, we'll go to Megan's question. What types of partner marketing activities or events have you found most successful in your organization?
Yeah, I'll start there on that one. This is a fun one. We experimented a lot in the beginning when it basically like make a list of everything you might want to do and then kind of like spot check and rank them based on what you think might be successful and then go and try and do it and evaluate it. I found that there were some things that made sense. So joint webinars, especially during the pandemic, was something that I feel like everybody did. And yes, there's like Zoom fatigue and there's that, like there's a problem always exists and persists, but that worked out really well. For us, it was having like us plus a partner plus a joint customer and having that joint customer talking through the value that they were getting was probably one of the best kind of formats. Another format that worked really well was bringing on like execs or leaders to talk. We did this amazing webinar with the founder of Product Board, Hubert, and one of Intercom co-founders, Des, and they're friends, and they just talked about product stuff, and it was great. It was super engaging. It was a Q&A. Things like that work really well. I found that if you have budget, throwing a little bit of budget behind an event, so like offering a gift card if somebody RSVPs and attends can cut through the Zoom fatigue or just reduce that issue that a lot of people have of like high RSVPs and low attendance rates. There's other things that didn't work super well for us. Like in the beginning, when we would do larger product releases about like, for example, like our series product, there was a number of partners that benefited. And we would try and like involve them on like launch day with like support and all these different things. And it's a nice to have, but the amount of energy and time like I spent getting them involved just wasn't worth the lift that came out from like page views or clicks and things like that. So we just kind of realized that like that wasn't the best use of our time right now. And then there was other like diamonds in the rough. We started to, there's a reason why like tracking metrics and KPIs are important on the campaign level, because we found out that Intercom's changelog gets tons of eyeballs. I mean, it's one of the best drivers of traffic. So in order to drive awareness around apps and integrations, I started to do a quarterly like app roundup changelog. So like new integrations and new partners that customers were using, I put into a changelog and I just pushed it out, and that would drive tons of traffic and tons of awareness for our partners. We started to realize that our new and noteworthy collection on the Intercom App Store was one of the most visited. So we basically made that like an automatic benefit for a lot of the partners that entered our program, because it was a way for them to get some immediate visibility and immediate lift for like a number of months as they got onboarded. So I would just say like those are just some examples from us. But take the time to like experiment in different ways and just have the right tracking in place, and then just go back and evaluate what are the ones that work, and then start to iterate on those and try and make them a bit smoother.
I think I could add as well, I love all those ideas, by the way, Mark, and all those things that you've done. We've done everything, right? We've done webinars and white papers and content pieces and virtual events and all sorts of different things, and results have varied, especially over the last, actually 2021 has just been particularly funny, right? Because we kind of started to get the hang of it towards the back end of 2020, and then the Zoom fatigue set in and we had to start rethinking, and now in-person events are starting to crop up again. It's been confusing. But one of the things that I've noticed this year is like, it's also going back to the basics. Like we've had some new partner integrations launch, and we've been so excited, and we've been able to now do in person and a range of different kind of tactics to get the news out there. But some of these events and ideas have fallen a little bit flat. And when we go back and be really, really honest with ourselves and reflect on what that was, it's because we kind of lost sight of who our audience was and what our value add to them was. And so I think like as we're almost navigating these things again for the first time at the moment. And so it's really important to spend even extra time at the start of this process when you are mapping out a co-marketing campaign to really align on, okay, who is our mutual audience? What is our value drivers, and what do we want them to know, and what do we want them to like learn from this experience? And so it's not so self-fulfilling, and that's kind of a tough conversation to have in reflection. So it's better to have it up front, and you'll really kind of work out the value drivers there.
I was just going to chime in. You're 100% right. We've done some events like in person. We're like, oh, this just didn't work. Like having to go back to those basics. Definitely agree, Mark, on the gift cards, cutting through the noise. Like if you have some budget to say like, hey, come learn about the best practices, tactical tips from a joint customer and a partner. And if you attend lunch on us, has been really, really great. Really focusing on that tactical content, because I think so much of the past year has been so thought leadership-y that if you get down, they're like, oh yes, thank you for telling me how I can actually be successful. The one thing that we started doing because of that Zoom fatigue, and we have a marketplace of partners, some smaller or not smaller niche players, that to get them exposure to our audience and our sales team and to the greater population of our audience, our customers, we put together a sort of fun competition that benefits charity. So we do like an hour-long digital showdown with 6 of our partners doing 3-minute demos, and they pitch their company and their product. They're benefiting a charity. The audience votes live on the best one that benefits and solves customer experience problems. The winner gets $10,000 to charity that they've picked. It's been something that's really energized our company because there's a community giving aspect and innovation. And our partners, it's a feel good. Yeah, I definitely want to be a part of that. I love picking a charity where they get to show their heart and their soul along with us and their innovation. It's a win-win-win across the board. And that's been a really fun way to turn virtual events on its head and say, how can we make this a really exciting and fun experience for our partners, for the company, and for our audience? And it's quite a lift. We do 2 a year, but it's really worth it once we do it. And so we're doing our 3rd one again this November, and that's been a blast to really get to do that in this virtual format.
Yeah, I love the idea of the virtual experiences. We started doing that with partners, and we found that while they don't necessarily contribute to pipeline in sort of in the quarter for the quarter fashion that virtual events tend to do, there's a good long tail of pipeline there that also creates a healthy co-sell relationship as well. The only other thing that I would add to the conversation is setting yourself up for success when partners are involved in any type of marketing activity that you're doing, particularly things like webinars and virtual events or virtual experiences where partners have some level of contribution. We are really just getting better about defining the way that we want partners to show up. And that can be with things like registration goals or number of promotions or specific types of promotions, and making it easy for partners to do that by giving them, brand assets or supporting them with creating social cards and banners and all the things that they need to drive attendance, but just being very clear about what those goals are so that everybody walks away happy at the end of it and wanting to do more of those with you in the future. I think at the beginning we were all just sort of wagging our tails and doing things together, and it was fun. And then at the end we were like, hold on, we should have been more specific about like how we wanted this to be executed. So a learning.
Yeah, I agree with that. And just one thing I'll tell people is that if you're doing anything, like the content of what you're doing matters a lot. And I feel like this sometimes starts to get lost. Like I see, I've worked in marketing a long time, and then you'll see these webinars like the 5 best tips for doing whatever. And it's like so surface level, and you're sitting there and you're like, what value would anybody that works in marketing for any extended period of time get out of this? And I feel like really sit down and think like, what is going to actually provide value to your customers? And if it's content, like great, do something, but make it valuable. I mean, like we did this like support quality benchmark report with one of our partners, Klaus, and it was great because that kind of content didn't exist. And it was something that the customers were saying that they wanted to learn more about. It's like we made it, right? If you're not sure, like ask your customers or ask your prospects. Like there's nothing wrong with doing that, but just if you have really good content, you're actually providing real value, it makes everything else a lot easier. And then just one thing to what Morgan said about communication, like when you're working with partners to build these things out and to start to execute, like if you think you've communicated enough on like what should be done and who's owning it, like do it 10 more times, right? Because those are the things that like you think everybody's on the same page, and that's when you know that nobody is. And then you have to like reiterate and make sure that people understand like who's owning creating that deck, right? Who's scheduling the dry run through, and like all that kind of stuff is important. And you do learn. I mean, I made this mistake a million times, so this is like just from experience, but try and make sure that you shorten that learning period as much as you can to make sure that you're kind of just, hitting your stride as quickly as you can.
All right, well, we are right at time. I know we have one more question from Jennifer, but I think what we'll do maybe is pop that into the Slack so folks can answer there as well. I want to be respectful of everybody's calendar. Thanks you guys so much for participating and taking time out of your busy days as you guys are setting stuff up with your companies. And yeah, really appreciate everybody taking the time.